So then he joined the Bulls.
He did. So he joined the Bulls, and look, he started strong. Like in his rookie year, he averaged like 28 points, and he took the team from winning 35% of the games in the previous 3 seasons to playoff contenders. So as soon as he turned up to preseason, his energy just stood people up, and it was clear he was the best player on the team after like the first 3 preseason sessions. And people were just starting to say, hey, something special's happening here. Yeah, I guess it's kind of where he really starts fitting in with the Bulls, and Jerry Krause starts to build a team around him, who's the general manager of the Bulls.
I noticed that I've only seen half of the episodes in the Netflix series. It's just a confession. But they seem to glaze over that.
You're absolved.
Yeah, I've lost my all right to talk about this.
No, you've read a book. It counts.
They seem to glaze over the NBA draft piece, and it sort of just looks like it just came out, that the Chicago Bulls had decided then and there, no one else knew about it, that they were going to pick Jordan. Whereas there's all these massive amounts of negotiation going on in the background, which was primarily led by his mum. And so she was like negotiating on his behalf quite strongly to ensure that he got the best possible deal. And one of those parts of the deal was, I think, something that allowed the Nike deal to come off in the way that it did, because there was some restrictions in typical deals that didn't allow players to do that. It also meant that he had like a longer term contract, which is where he became known as not getting paid much through the NBA. Sure, yeah. That's correct, but he was paid for everything else outside of the NBA.
But this kind of goes back to his code, and there's been a few points where that's kind of sticking out, he never tried to really renegotiate that deal. All throughout the book, he stuck to that deal and honoured it. And I think for him, a deal's a deal, and he made that deal, and it was on him to go out and absolutely dominate as much as he could for that deal, because that's what was agreed with Reisdorf.
Yeah, although Reisdorf was like renowned for never, ever renegotiating a deal.
Which is probably not a bad stand given the amount of, I suppose, money that's involved in these things. And, I think Jordan was pretty pissed off at Scottie Pippen when he kind of took this kind of action against it and said, well, look, you signed this deal. Yeah, you're not getting paid much, but we've got a job to do here. And it's really interesting that he was able to be coached. I still find that quite fascinating because he's such an outsized, driven person, individual, that he was able to kind of be taught by people. He didn't think he was so big that he was bigger than the coaches and the staff like Dean Smith and Phil Jackson and Doug and all those guys that he was coached by. He seems to still be able to be coached and to listen to authority in some senses. But then he was such a hard teammate and a bully to his teammates and would like get in fights with them and
do you want to talk more about the bullying?
The first year kids it goes into a bit of detail about some of the ways he made people uncomfortable, but he'd test you out, So you'd come to training, and this is when he was like Michael Jordan, the real deal, the best player to ever live. You'd come to training and he'd pick on you first session. So he'd see you out, you're playing your practice matches or whatever, and he would just try and humiliate you until he got a rise out of you. And if you rose to him and said, fuck off, Michael, or whatever, and stood up to him, he'd be like, all right, I respect you now, right? He wanted to see if you had any fight in you.
He'd only respect you if you could play well and you did that.
Sorry. If you were useless, just get stuffed, And his way of being teammate was to just intimidate others into being better. There's this constant dynamic of they're all terrified of him and kind of hate him, but he's such a god on the field or on the court that they can't help but kind of love him for what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of feeling I got. None of them would kind of come outright and say it in the book or in the documentary, except for in the book, The Jordan Rules, where a few of the players, like Horace Grant, I believe, is alleged to have leaked a lot of stuff to the media about Jordan beating up teammates and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a super weird dynamic that he's so aggressive with his teammates, but it's kind of got some kind of weird respect for certain rules and things.